In this lesson, we're going to go over a brief introduction to square roots. A number b is a square root of a if b squared is equal to a. So let's go over a basic radical expression. We have our radical sign. The number underneath the radical is called the radicand. And then we have the index, and the index tells me what type of radical that we're dealing with. In this lesson, we're going to talk about specifically square roots. And when we write a square root, we actually don't write any index in there. It's one of those things in math that's understood to be a square root. With square roots specifically, in order to evaluate them, the radicand, again the number underneath, has to be a number that's greater than or equal to 0. So we can't have any negative numbers underneath the radical sign in order to evaluate them to be real numbers. There are two different types of square roots. We have the principal square root and we have the negative square root. The principal square root is the positive square root. So if I had the square root of 121, I know that's equal to positive 11. We then have the negative square root, and notice how the negative is outside of the radical. A negative square root, it would be something like the negative square root of 25, and that equals a negative 5. When we are doing the order of operations, we treat radicals as we would exponents. So here I would evaluate the radical, which would be just the square root of 25, before applying that negative sign. Let's practice by evaluating these two expressions. Again, remember, we still follow the order of operations, even though we have radicals now. So in this first example, the first thing I would do is I would subtract 17 and 2 to get 15. So we do our parentheses first. Now we're going to evaluate what's underneath the radicals. So 10 plus 15 gives me a positive 25. The square root of positive 25 is 5. And then we do the subtraction last. And we get a negative 4. In this next expression, this is actually called the distance formula. And all this formula does is tell me the distance between 2 points. So like before, I'm going to do my parentheses first. So 2 minus 5 is a negative 3. Negative 6 plus 7 is a positive 1. Now I'm going to apply the exponents underneath the radical. Negative 3 squared is a positive 9. 1 squared is 1. And now I can do the addition, and we get the square root of 10. The square root of 10 is as simplified as we can get. In the next lesson, we're going to look at how to simplify square roots and how to evaluate square roots that do not simplify to natural numbers. If you wanted a decimal approximation for that square root of 10, in our graphing calculator, we would go second, and then we see the square root button right over here. And just hit enter.